Good evening, Pachucolandia. This is JJ from Al Pachuco Zoot Suits. We're here again on our fourth episode of Al Pachuco Lifestyles. We have a very close friend of the family to the Estrellas and Al Pachuco Zoot Suits. We invited Nicolas Centino today to be with us. I'll let Nick say a few things about himself, but we know Nick for a long time, wonderful dancer, also a professor, assistant professor at Cal State Channel Islands. So welcome, Nicholas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. It's great to chat with you, JJ. It's a real pleasure. I'm real honored to be involved in this series. So I'm really glad you got a hold of me.
Great. Yeah, that was one of the main things was to get you on because we'll get into some of the things, the award that Phyllis got at your college, at your university. But why don't you give us a little info on what your background is, where you grew up. We know you're a professor. Tell us about your educational background and your family, of course, with Anna and your child.
Yeah, of course. I grew up in California. I grew up on the central coast of California, right outside Santa Barbara, a little town called Lompoc. Went to Cabrillo High School. I had when I was growing up in sort of the mid 90s, there was a big swing craze. And so, growing up in that era and seeing a lot of Zoot Suits out, on MTV, and I know it's something that a lot of kids don't know what it is anymore, but that was something that really had sparked my interest and really encouraged me to sort of learn the history of, the Mexican-American population, Chicana Chicano population, more broadly, Latinas, Latinos, Latinx folks of different nationalities. And, that interest really started with being fascinated by the Pachucos, the Pachucas from the 1940s. And that really got me involved in Chicano Studies. And so I majored in Chicano Studies when I went to UC Santa Barbara, worked in the nonprofit sector for a number of years, worked actually in Washington, D.C., doing a lot of political advocacy work on behalf of education. Barbara, after coming back home from the East Coast, and really getting encouraged by a lot of peers and also mentors to pursue a higher degree. So, always thought about maybe doing a master's or something like that. I never imagined doing a PhD or a doctorate, but, they said, if you're going to do a master's, might as well try and, try and go all the way. So I applied to different, doctoral programs. And at that time, there weren't a lot of Chicano Studies doctoral programs. There was one in Michigan and one from the institution I came from, Santa Barbara. So I applied to a few places here on the West Coast in ethnic studies, but really my home was in Chicano Studies. And luckily, Santa Barbara admitted me, and I worked with some really great folks there. Actually, while at Santa Barbara, I had a chance to actually meet folks like Lado Guerrero and Don Tosti. Well, not Don Tosti because he had already passed away, but their collections are there in Santa Barbara. So, all the way through my education, there was always this little bit of Pachuquismo there,
Right.
And right now I work at CSU Channel Islands. We're in Camarillo. The campus itself used to be the Camarillo State Hospital. So even the campus looks like it's right out of the 1930s and 1940s. So I feel right at home at campus. I work in the Chicano Studies program there with some great folks and some amazing students.
Yes. And your wife and your child?
Yes. And so we live here now in Oxnard. It's my wife Ana Rosa. Really proud of her and the amazing work she's done in both the civic sector, but also sort of the social justice work that she's done. And we have a little girl, Gloria, and we call her the spirit baby, also Adela, our first child. So we're happy here, and trying to, like everybody, trying to make do the best with kind of this wild situation we got going on at the moment.
Great. Well, it sounds like you have a remarkable resume in your academics, and it's one thing Phyllis and the Estrella family are very proud of you because of the interaction when you were younger, when you came by to the store, and I know Phyllis talks a lot about that. So why don't you give us a little story about coming to the store and what attracted you? I know you like the style and everything, but what attracted you to Al Pachuco Zoot Suits and the style, the Zoot Suit? How does it make you feel?
Absolutely. I would say, myself, like a lot of people, would see the little quarter page ad. It wasn't a little ad. It was actually, it was a quarter page. It was one fourth of that page in the lowrider magazines. And those weren't the digital magazines like, they might have had a few months ago, right? These are the actual, paper copies. And seeing those month after month, and the great illustrations by Julia Mendoza, those really, really captured my imagination. And it wasn't until maybe, I went with some family members to a car show down in Southern California, and I ran into the family. It was before I knew who everybody was, but, it was Ray Sr., Phyllis, Ray, Daniel, and John. And it was really great meeting them all. And I walked away, with from the booth, and I still have it, a catalog, and I obsessed over this catalog for years. And I would beg and plead with my parents to, can I get a Zoot suit for prom, or can I get a Zoot suit for the high school dance that was coming up? And my mom was into lowriders when she was my age, and so she kind of knew the history, and so eventually she caved, and so we made the 3-hour drive from Santa Barbara area down to Fullerton.
Wow.
And we were there, and picked out the suit, got an all black Zoot suit with the matching Tondo and the Stacey Adams, and we were all set to go. And lo and behold, I locked the keys in the trunk. I think after I loaded the trunk up with the suit, I was so excited about the Zoot suit that I closed the trunk, and the keys were in the trunk. So we had to wait a few extra hours for AAA to come and unlock the car, but which was a shame. But those extra hours that we were stuck at the store really had an amazing chance to meet, and talk to Ray and Phyllis and the family there. And had I not locked the keys in the car, I wouldn't have gotten to know them as not just amazing people and amazing business, but also that's kind of that story has kind of lived in infamy. And whenever we all get together and my mom's in the room and the family's in the room and I'm there, it's always, hey, remember the time you locked the keys in the car and had to wait for AAA to let you in.
I didn't hear that one, so that's a new one for me. So yeah, that's great. And then so as a young man, and if anyone follows Nick, he's dressed impeccable, the 40 style, and also now, do you do some of tailoring, or you just kind of search around and look for clothes?
I do a lot of collecting, and there's just some things that don't exist anymore, and so I turned to El Pachuco for a lot of tailoring over the years. And so my Zoot suits obviously are from El Pachuco, but a lot of the earlier stuff, kind of the 30s style. I know a lot of suits were made for the TV show Penny Dreadful,
right?
Some of that style.
Yeah.
El Pachuco's really been instrumental in providing those looks for me as well. So whatever I need to kind of fill in the gaps of what I'm missing, I always turn to El Pachuco.
Right. Great. And so also I want to touch on this for a minute, because I just saw this. I think you were live a couple of days ago. You're spinning some old time music. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the vinyl that you're playing?
Yeah, so a few years back, I was able to come up on a kind of a mid-sized vinyl collection owned by an elderly woman up in Santa Barbara, who had donated her records to a local thrift store. And she had a lot of 78s records. So these are records that they're not on vinyl, they're on shellac. And a lot of stuff from the 40s, some stuff from the 50s, but mostly items from the 40s and items from World War II. So they have the original paper sleeves that say buy U.S. war bonds on them, and they have the Victory Eagle. So that was kind of a kick. And part of my work as a professor is to try and engage the community with some educational efforts. And so by playing some of this older music and including some biographical information about some of the artists, or maybe a little bit about the genres that they perform, music from the Caribbean, a lot of Cuban danzones, some old Tejano conjunto music from from the 40s, and also some good old swing music. Was a lot of fun, and so that's actually something that I got some good feedback on. We might do in the future, so
I
we'll
look
see.
forward to it because it was really interesting. Because some of that you could even hear the old the scratching of the kind of the record.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All that original sound, man, is just incredible, especially on the records you're playing that night. So also your other little hobby is which I just posted one of the videos on I think Facebook with you dancing at one of the car shows, and we're trying to date that. I think it was early 2000, 2005 maybe. But you and your I don't know if it was your wife at that time, girlfriend Anna at the time, but you guys were out there moving out in the hot sun. But
oh yeah,
also helped the family out in other events, our 40th, and then the Lollapalooza that we had in LA. You went out there and danced. So tell us a little bit about your passion with swing dancing and how you came about that.
Sure. Yeah, ironically enough, I got really interested in swing music, in the 90s and Zoot Suits in the 90s, but I didn't dance. There were a lot of guys that didn't dance. They thought they were maybe too tough to dance, and so dancing really wasn't my thing until I moved to the East Coast and then came back. And so I had a California bucket list, so to speak, of things to try out when I came back home. And swing dancing was one of them. And so I took some classes here locally in Santa Barbara, and then just kind of kept going, made it sort of, a hobby, like a lot of hobbies, they turn into obsessions. And so really delving into the history of the different dance forms, the history of, the Lindy Hop in Harlem, and the history of some of the local California dances like the Balboa, really kind of scratched both the professor itch, but also, a little bit of that Pachuco itch also.
Right.
And so one thing that, I've been working with is a foundation, a nonprofit foundation called the Pacific Swing Dance Foundation, and specifically around some of the original swing dances in Orange County during that era. So things like the Pachuco Hop, or what they call, or another dance style that they call LA Swing or Bow Swing. So it's been a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people through the dance world. And anytime that, myself with Anna, she loves dancing as well. Anytime we can share that joy and excitement with anyone, we always try and do that. So,
yeah,
it's always a blast.
Great. So, and now let's get back into a little bit about your being a assistant professor at Cal State Channel Islands. Now, I think it was last year you actually gave Phyllis Estrella, the owner of Pachuco Zoot Suits, a award, and you had I think it was your first event of Pachuco Symposium. So tell us about that. I mean, you're trying to bring the culture to your school, and you had a whole day of events going on. So tell us about how you started doing that at your school.
Yeah, the Pachuquismo Symposium, that was sort of kind of a fun academic / arts event that we had at Cal State Channel Islands. It was something that was organized by students in a class that I was teaching. They were reading this really amazing book called Women in the Zoot Suit by a professor up in Santa Cruz, Catherine Ramirez. And since they were reading the book, they wanted to do something to go along with the book. And so they organized the symposium. I tried to, put them in connection with different people that I knew, and had different professors, different students submit workshops and lectures to give during the day. In addition to some arts that we had. And so we had a painter come in, and we had these really amazing dancers from a performance troupe called La Mezcla, under the direction of Vanessa Sanchez up in San Francisco, do segments of their performance called Pachuquismo. And that is an all-woman Zoot Suit inspired performance that they've done really amazing runs on.
Right.
And part of the event was really kind of not only educating folks on the history and the style, but also being able to honor folks who have kind of kept the torch burning, so to speak. And so it was really our pleasure to invite Phyllis up and to honor her on this really important anniversary of El Pachuco's founding. And it was great having her, up in Channel Islands, and it was great having the whole family there as well. So,
Right.
And again, it's about really, giving honor and respect to those who were, keeping this this torch going and keeping this flame burning through thick and thin. I almost couldn't get that out.
Yeah, we appreciate that because we're predominantly in LA, Orange County, but when you go out to your area, it's always good to go out there and spread the word. And I know Phyllis was really excited about that award, so we thank you for that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of history with Pachucos and Ventura County that a lot of folks may not know. During the Sleepy Lagoon trial, all the guys, as people may know from the play or the movie, all the guys got sent up to San Quentin. They all got, eventually released. All the girls ended up in Ventura. They went to the Ventura School for Girls, and they never got released. They actually had to age out of the school for them to see their freedom.
Right.
And then Alice Greenfield, who was one of the lead lawyers in the defense case, she retired and lived in Ventura and lived out her days of Ventura. And so one of my colleagues, Professor Frank Barajas, actually had a chance to interview her and get her story. And she had a really amazing story that obviously involves the Sleepy Lagoon case. Right. That Zoot was based on, but also had a lot of history both before and after that case, doing a lot of amazing work in the community.
Wow, great. All right, Nicholas. Well, we're about to wrap up, so I'm going to go ahead and give my little line about El Pachuco Zoot Suits. We're still shipping online. We're still filling your orders. We've closed. I stopped counting. It's probably must be 8 weeks now. We've been closed, but want to thank everybody for helping us out. Our orders are coming in. And keep following us on Instagram and Facebook, and also on YouTube, our YouTube channel, which this will air Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So we just want to say thank you, everybody. We hope everybody out there is healthy and safe. Everybody on our end is good, and we're just keep praying that hopefully we're going to see an end to this pretty soon. It looks like so. We'll see. We'll make a big announcement if we open up. So. Lastly, Nick, we're going to shoot it back to you. If you have anything in closing that you'd like to say, and also mention your handles for Instagram and Facebook and anything else that you would like to plug.
Sure. You can always see what I'm up to on our Facebook page for the Chicana Chicano Studies program at CSU CI. All the events and all the lectures or cultural events that we have going on there, you can check us out there. You can, contact me directly on my Facebook, Nicholas Centino. And if you want to see, pictures of great houses or, historical architecture or historical style, you can always see my Instagram feed at Resortes 805. And so keep an eye out for that. Blessings to everyone out there. Thanks again, JJ, for getting a hold of me and giving me the honor of sharing some a little bit about myself on this amazing program. All
right. Thank you. I'll call you Niko because that's what we know you as. But once again, thank you so much for a couple of things. Number one, for keeping the Chicano movement, being a Chicano Studies professor. Very important that our students know about the history, and we thank you for continuing that education with them. And last of all, much love to you and Anna and your daughter. We have much love for you and the Estrella family, the El Pachuco Zoot family. So, and your mom as well. We wish you all be safe and healthy, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, JJ. Likewise.
All right. Thank you.